First and foremost, man, I want to thank you for coming up to the Level Up podcast. Obviously, you know that, we love to not only encourage entrepreneurship, but really talk to individuals who have made it to the top of their profession. Because obviously, being in the MLB is something very difficult to achieve, and you've made it, right?
Yeah,
you were able to get to the top of your field. And so we're just very excited to talk to you, man, get to kind of hear your story and hear how you kind of got, to the MLB and just talk a little bit about life and what you got going on, man. So thank you for coming up to the Level Up podcast, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So, man, I'm a little curious, bro, right? Sure. So I grew up in New York City, big buildings, not a lot of sports programs. You kind of had your, God of Riverside, I remember, playing softball or basketball. Then you had Safe Haven. I don't know if you ever played for Safe Haven. You remember that?
I played for Safe Haven.
All right, so maybe I'm dating myself a little bit there. But so I used to play basketball for Safe Haven. And that was kind of the only organized group basketball that I remember that I could play. How does somebody, get born in the Bronx and start picking baseball or get organized in that type of sport?
Honestly, just my parents, man. Both my dad and my mom, since I was young. My dad especially, he's a big baseball fan. So, he has a video of me when I'm 2 years old. And he has a jersey, and it says Padilla on the back of it. And he said, one day that's going to be in the back of a Major League jersey.
Wow.
So I think since a young age,
That's
my dad and both my parents really put an emphasis on if you want to do baseball, you're going to do baseball. You're going to, we're going to do it the right way. You're going to work hard at it, and you're going to continue at it. And they always pushed me. My dad was going to every tournament with me. He was my coach for a while.
Oh, wow.
My first pitching coach, my first hitting coach, so I give props to him for sure.
So they've always been supportive. You've never had that problem of them just hating it and being I'd rather you be a doctor. That's always been something that they've been, okay with.
They've always preached to me to have a plan B as well. Right. Baseball is a limited sport, a limited career, You can't, no matter how good you are, it comes to an end at some point. So since I was young, they also told me, make sure you know what you want to do in life, have other plans, have other options, and just keep, your mind open to everything.
Do you think that made it a little bit easier for you having them, on your side and wanting to, help you get to where you want to go rather than, them being the opposite?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, my dad was my coach. So him and I are going outside playing catch every day or going to our workout. My mom's a flight attendant. So any tournament that I had to go to, free flights.
That's awesome.
So it all kind of played a big role into where I'm at today.
Now, so it's funny because you mentioned something, right? So when I think about, Serena, right, and her dad, Venus and her dad, and Michael Jordan and his dad, your parents are always very instrumental in your process and, the sports that you get into. So you mentioned that your dad already kind of had that vision.
Yeah.
So when he had that vision, did you look at him and say dude, I don't want to play baseball, or was baseball already your thing?
Yeah, I think since a young age, baseball has always been what I wanted to do. I always played basketball, I played football, but those sports kind of faded out towards high school, But baseball always stuck around. So, and I think, again, my dad's a huge part because he's one of the biggest baseball fans I know. If he's watching a baseball game and I'm not, he's like, you play baseball, why are you not watching this game right now? And I'm like, dude, I just spent 7 months watching baseball games every day. He's like, you're not a baseball fan. You're not a baseball fan.
Dude, I'm more than a fan. I'm in the sport. That's so funny. So growing up, obviously, so your dad was very instrumental and he got you into the sport. You ended up falling in love with the sport as well. Talk to me about, how did you get into the programs that you needed to get into? What did that look like, especially for somebody who is watching you now and wants to aspire to be like you? What steps did you take at an early age to kind of start prepping you to get into, the later stage in your career?
I think just being around the right coaches and having people around you in your corner that know the game very well and can teach you things at a young age about the highest level. I think that helped me a lot. I played travel ball since I was 11 years old.
Right.
So I've always been in a big baseball community. Even when I wasn't playing baseball, I was still hanging out with all my baseball friends and going to the baseball field and all that. So it was being around a nice group of people like that, and then just knowing where to grow, I guess. I'm not saying jump teams or switch teams, but once I realized I can actually do this, that's when I started searching out for more. And like, I found Citius Academy, I found Melvin, and places like that took me to the next level.
So at what age did you like kind of already see that vision of like, oh man, I could probably take this pretty far?
I would say around like 15, 15, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's when like a lot of big showcases come about, and like, you're getting your New York State rank, or your wherever state you're in, you're getting ranked in. So it's like, I think from there is when you kind of like, you see like, I can actually do this. So
when it comes to coaches and mentors, and now at your level, I'm sure you have thousands, but coming up, how did you differentiate between somebody who, knew what he was talking about, wanted the best for you, and maybe somebody who, didn't really know what he was talking about and, didn't really want the best for you? I'm sure that was really hard, especially, having all these programs and people reaching out. Like, I could help you. What was that thing that you were like, all right, he's good, he's not?
I think it comes to the part where like those kind of people weed themselves out.
Right.
Like, if you're not true to the game and you're not really about like wanting to help people, then you're going to be exposed eventually.
Right.
And I think it's just about people that are like loyal to you, you're loyal to them. And like, Melvin, I've been with Melvin since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And he's trained me every step of the way till now. Like, I still coach with him, all this stuff.
Right.
So I think finding that one coach that, is loyal to you and actually listens to what you feel like you need to work on, all this stuff, is a big benefit.
Yeah, I feel like that's, it's crucial for anything that you do, just finding someone that you can grow with.
Yeah.
So if you're just bouncing from person to person, just trying to find like something special, it's never going to work.
Yeah. You definitely look for someone like relatable, someone that played the sport, someone that's been there, like drafted, all these things. Like that's what you look for in the mentorship,
That's true. And so your dad's competitive, right?
Yeah.
So he already saw that vision for you to get into the MLB. I could only imagine like the emotions that he was going through, once you're 15, 16, and now you're starting to get ranked.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that pressure of like your dad and just like, how excited he was. Because now it's like, now you have pressure of like, all right, now I need to perform. I'm ranked. Now you're looking at people ranked above you, below you. Like, talk to me a little bit about that process and what that feels like.
My dad was always on top of me. Not on top of me in the sense like made sure I did everything, but he always told me, go do your workouts, go do this, go do that. But he was never forcing me to do anything.
Oh, nice.
So he was also like, if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. And that's going to be that. But like, I took it as like, if I'm not doing it, I'm wasting his time. I'm wasting my time. Like,
You gotta put the work in.
Yeah.
Gotta put the work in.
So it was never really like a big sense of pressure. I think I just put that pressure on myself, like wanting to do good as like a competitor, as an athlete. But for them, they were always like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like it's part of life.
Just being supportive.
What's up, family? Thank you again for watching this video. This video is being sponsored by Level Up Enterprises. Level Up Enterprises is the community and the ecosystem you need to be at if you want to level up. Level Up Enterprises has all the pillars. Business credit, credit repair, real estate. We have trading. We have long-term investment. We have weekly classes. We help you and we empower you to become better. We provide you skill sets that you're able to feed you on yours. I'm telling you, this is the community to be. We have helped thousands of people level up and become 6-figure and 7-figure earners. Click in the link in the bio. We'll see you there. There's 2 things you can do in life, and that is level up or remain the same. You know what we're doing.
And that's sometimes it's tough, right? Like your parents want the best for you, and you want to make sure that you perform as well. But it's nice that they didn't put that pressure on you, right? It allowed you to kind of be free and do your thing. So I can only imagine that going into high school when it comes to baseball is the first major like accomplishment, right? Because you have to go to a good program. Talk to us a little bit about that. What was that? What was that feeling like? Going to the first major program in your life.
So I went to Cardinal Spellman High School, and when I was coming in, the baseball program wasn't as good as it was when we were there, or when my graduating class left. But it was exciting, man. I mean, like, you go in because you want to impress everybody. You want to be that guy. You want to be that dude. So like, I feel like that just puts an extra like effort that you put in to like your everyday workouts, your throwing, like everything that you're doing on a daily basis. Even like your schoolwork is like, that's the most important part in like high school. If you're not doing good in school, then there's no sports. There's none of that.
Exactly.
So I think it was just like a good sense of accomplishment for myself to go in there and like prove myself.
As you should. As you should.
When we talk about performance and now you're under a big spotlight, have to perform every single day. What is that you do, or like what do you tell yourself when you have a bad day, have a bad week, or things just aren't clicking correctly? Like how do you stay the course? Because it happens to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely took me a little while. I got drafted in 2015, so I've been in pro ball for a little while, but it definitely took me a little while to accept failure and realize that it's like part of the game and part of everyday life.
Absolutely.
And realize like that one game, that one moment doesn't define my entire career. It's not who I am. Right. There's always gonna be another chance. There's always gonna be another opportunity.
Right.
And like, I feel like once you start dwelling about all your failures and everything like that, that's when it just starts to continue.
Exactly. You just got to learn from them over and over again. And then that's what makes you better anyways. But it definitely is tough. And I'm sure it only gets tougher as the stage gets bigger and, the lights get brighter.
Yeah, no one wants to fail. No one wants to look like the loser or anything like that. You always want to be the champ, but that's not how life is. So.
Even the best in whatever, any field, they're going to fail. They're going to have bad deals. They're going to have bad days. Game-winning Michael Jordan is game-winning shots thousands of times, and it happens. But
hey,
it happens.
Take it easy on Jordan. Take it easy on the GOAT. So, talking about, bigger stages, what about college? I know college is the next step, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that journey.
So out of high school, I really didn't have any big D1 schools, So I called one of my coaches and asked if he had any schools that would be interested. And he got me in contact with a community college in Texas called Grayson.
Okay.
And I had no idea about JUCO baseball or any of that. It was either like in my head it was either D1 or bust. That was it. So it was like once I heard about JUCO, I was like, all right. And then I went to go visit. And I mean, Grayson is in the middle of nowhere in Texas. I'm talking about tumbleweeds rolling, everything. Like
that bad.
Yeah, Sherman County, Texas. It's don't ever go there. But
on vacation there, got it.
But I think it's kind of like the same thing as in high school. Like, all right, I proved myself there. I proved myself to get to this college. Now I got to prove that I got to stay.
Right.
So it was kind of like the same mentality. You go in there, no one knows who anybody is, but like you got to prove yourself. You got to make sure like you're doing your stuff every day. And especially in a JUCO in like the middle of nowhere, the only thing you're doing is baseball. Like there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to drive, walk to. Only thing is baseball.
Were you thinking when you didn't get those D1 offers that you wanted in high school, was that, were there those thoughts in your head like, all right, maybe this baseball dream is going to work out? Or did you were like, all right, I'm going to find a way?
To be honest, man, like
really?
Yeah, I some feeling every time I feel like a sense of doubt or anything like that, the sense of feeling just comes over me like everything's going to be okay. Like it's all going to work out in the end. Like even if like D1 didn't happen, then JUCO was meant to happen. Exactly. Like I went there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like,
and I feel like grinding your way up rather than just being placed in like a D1 school and being the starter coming in, it teaches you a lot more and makes you even better than if you were to just be placed into some random school.
I didn't want to go to a big D1 and not play my first 2 years or whatever it is and miss out on what could have happened at another school.
Exactly. Now transitioning into outside of college and the crazy journey and process of what is the minor leagues, how rough was that? You got to talk about, making nothing and those horrible, horrible times. And now you're saying it's getting better, but it wasn't better when you were playing. So you got to talk about that crazy time.
Well, actually, before you get to that, right? You're in college, right? So now you're performing, you're doing your thing. The MLB's looking at you, scouts are looking at you. How did your relationship start to change? Because now you got people like, oh, this might happen. This might go down.
Nothing really changed till I got drafted.
Till you got drafted, okay.
So once like all that news came out, on Twitter, news, all these things, that's when a lot of people I never talked to start contacting me and all these different things.
Oh my God, okay.
I mean, it comes with it, Of
course.
I understand it. I understand the reasoning behind a lot of it, but,
How'd you handle it?
Like I said, I stay loyal to who's loyal to me. And if at the end of the day, like, you're coming to get what you think is the luxury life and all this stuff, and it's not for me.
And if they were looking for the luxury life,
they weren't going
to find it. Talk a little bit about that. Once you finally got drafted, and actually when you did get drafted, what was that like?
So in college, I got Tommy John surgery after my third start. Yeah.
Wow.
So I honestly thought that was the first time that I thought like that was it. Yeah, because like I knew if I stayed healthy, I would get drafted and there would be no problems. You know, but then I got injured and everything changed. Mine starts rumbling, all these things. And again, like I'm in Sherman, Texas, Grace Center, a community college.
Yeah.
So the rehab process, all that stuff is not the same as if I would be with a pro team or a D1 school. So that kind of set me back a little bit. But then like, even after my surgery, like I'm still getting calls from teams, we're going out to dinners, lunches, stuff like that. And I'm just like, all right, so maybe, it's
might be good.
Meant to happen.
Yeah.
And then leading up to the draft, that's when you start getting all the phone calls from teams like, hey, would you take this amount in this round? Would you take this amount in this round? Yes or no? And then you just move past it. I was actually at the Mets game. That. Yeah, I was actually at the Mets game when the Yankees called me. And they said, would you take this? Or would you, like, in this round, I'm this much money? And I was like, no, but like.
Really?
Yeah, it happens.
Wait a minute, okay. It's the Yankees.
The Yankees,
this isn't like, your little JUCO college or whatever. Like, this is the Junkies.
Okay. Yankees.
You said no to the Yankees?
Yeah, you gotta know your worth, man. You gotta know.
Okay.
You gotta know what you're worth.
Listen, I don't know. Maybe it's me, the pinstripes, like the history. I can just imagine any other player, like Yankees, as soon as they call, I'm ready to roll. Mm-hmm. But you had enough sense to say, no, I'm worth more.
Yeah.
My game talks has a bigger voice than I do. So how did it feel to be like, no, I'm good. I don't want that. Is that like tough?
It's a little scary because
I can imagine. Yeah.
What if that's my last phone call?
Oh, man,
and then that's
scary,
it. But
scary.
You just gotta bet on yourself, and that's what happened. And it worked out. Even when I got drafted by the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays, and they called me the morning of the draft and said, "Hey, we're gonna take you in this round, this much money." And I said, "No, don't draft me. Like I'm gonna go back to college, and we'll talk again next year."
Nice.
And so I thought that was it. In my head, mentally, I'm going back to college. The draft is over. I'm on my way to physical therapy with my mom. We're driving. And then my phone just starts blowing up. Congratulations. I'm like, huh? And then my dad calls me. He's like, forget physical therapy. Like, come home. Like, you just got drafted, blah, blah.
Oh, my God.
So, I rushed home, gave my parents a big hug, and that was it. That's when, like,
thank you.
Everything, phone calls started happening. The Rays called me, agents. Everything. It was a whole.
So you got drafted and didn't even know?
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to it because once I said no, I was like, all right, you're done. That's it. Like I'm gonna go back to college.
That's kind of weird because you like when you see the NFL's process, like you get a phone call like, hey, we're taking you at this spot. Like so for you, it was like, no, I don't want it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like, no, they took you either way. Like
because they're trying to. So it's early in the morning, so they're trying to plan their whole board for the whole day. So if they got a guy that they know they're going to take in the 12th round that already said yes, then the 12th round is set.
So do you think like you sitting there and saying like, hey, no, I'm good. I'm going to go back to school. Obviously the individual for the Tampa Bay Rays was like, you know what, this kid knows what he's doing. Yeah. He has a good head on his shoulders. We got to draft him. You think that's what happened? I
think so. I think they saw a stubborn 17-year-old, 18-year-old that was looking at like big dollar signs instead of like the dream and like playing professional baseball.
Right.
And shout out to JD Ellaby. He is a scout that drafted me. And him and I still keep in contact to this day. When I made my debut, he texted me.
Absolutely.
But when I got drafted, he flew out to New York to take me and my parents out to dinner.
Wow.
And was like, look, like, don't worry about the big money now. Like, you do your thing, you continue doing what you're doing, and that's gonna come. Like, don't let that be the main focus or the main drive for everything you're doing.
That's amazing.
And that took a big hit with me.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you have those type of mentors and somebody that believes in you and gives you that advice and guidance, especially at a young age, is very instrumental because it shapes you, right?
Yeah,
and you start making decisions based on the way people treat you, based on the guidance and information that they're giving you, right?
Definitely.
So you're drafted. Everyone's happy. We're clapping, high-fiving. We're rich. We're going to we're buying cars, houses. What really happened?
I went to Port Charlotte, Florida, about 2 weeks after I signed my contract. Mm-hmm. And same thing. Port Charlotte, Florida is
back to the middle of nowhere.
No one should ever visit, man.
Oh, my Lord.
There's nothing there but a beach, and that's it.
Okay.
And I was in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 guys sleeping on a twin bed next to another guy.
Ugh.
And I'm like, in my head, I was like, I'm in professional baseball.
Yeah, I'm a major leaguer.
I remember calling my parents and like, what is going on? Like, what is this? And
somebody made a mistake.
Yeah, it was like a big cultural shock. Like,
wow.
I did not expect that. But then again, like, I feel like that whole minor league process is just, it molds like all the players into who they are, you know?
Yeah,
it either makes or breaks you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've heard the horror stories, like obviously with the pay disparity and just like the stuff you guys go through. Talk a little bit about that, right? So like, were you eating good? Like, what was happening?
So now teams will serve meals before and after the game.
Nice.
But when I got drafted, that wasn't a thing. So we would get a pregame meal, which would be ham and cheese sandwich that was, from the 7-Eleven across the street. And then after, we would be on our own.
Right.
So half the time, our games are at 7 o'clock. We're ending at 10, 10:30, 11. The only thing open at that time is either McDonald's, fast food, or pizza. And, if you're on an away game, we're at a hotel, and we're not driving, we're not walking. So I remember we were on a road trip. This was in 2017. I was on a road trip for 10 days. And for 10 days straight, I had Domino's for dinner.
Oh my God.
What?
And I was hurting. I think on the 10th day, I said, I'm not eating dinner.
Oh my God.
I had everything. Yeah, I had everything on the Domino's menu you could think of.
Oh my God.
It was, but now luckily, things are improving. Now we're getting good meals before and after.
Right.
So,
okay, well.
It's definitely a grind.
It's crazy too when you look back on it, and now you're saying that things are meant to be. That's been your whole baseball career, especially in college, starting off in JUCO, and then the minors, starting off eating Domino's 10 days, and then working your way up. It's crazy how it all shapes up. But in the moment, when you don't see the vision, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's tough. But looking back, it's special. It's special to see that whole journey, and it's. Do you think that's what made you who you are today?
Yeah, definitely. There's a reason for everything, and everyone wants to know the reason why.
Sometimes you can't see it.
You can't.
You'll find out the reason later.
I think, especially being an athlete and learning how to overcome adversity on and off the field, just improves how you handle all the toughness, all the challenges on the field. Yeah.
And when you talk about how bad the living situation was your expectations for the first game a lot higher than you thought it would be? Was the nerves crazy, or was it just like another JUCO game?
So it was on we call it the backfields. Yeah. It's not like the main stadium. Yeah. It's like those little fields towards the back that no one goes and watches.
Yeah, what I used to play on for Little League.
So that was my first game. It was on the backfield. And my parents flew out, they watched it and everything. Of course. It was, again, I didn't feel nervous. I was just more excited to actually be part of it. Cause my first year and a half in pro ball, I couldn't play because I was rehabbing. Right. So, it never really felt like I was actually in professional baseball because I wasn't doing anything.
Makes sense.
But then again, I look at the bigger picture and saying everything happens for a reason. Me going into pro baseball, rehabbing and, not being able to play, I was around a lot of older guys that played in the majors, been in AAA, AA, or been in the minors for 10 years. And I'm talking to all these dudes as an 18-year-old and they're giving me all their bits and pieces of knowledge and
mentorship.
Yeah, and I think that made me mature early in pro ball. Instead of being a crazy 18-year-old kid, not knowing the unwritten rules in baseball.
Which is very important because you don't want to be in there being the young guy that doesn't know what he's doing or just trying to do a lot of crazy things, because you see a lot of you young guys that get drafted for different sports and then you end up blowing your money or you're doing crazy decisions, partying too much, not being focused. So it's awesome to see that you had that type of mentorship. So that's great. So you're in the minors. You know, the food's not great. The games are not great. You know, nothing about it is great. The pay's not great.
The guys are great.
The guys, right? The camaraderie and all that stuff, right? Now somebody calls you. They say, hey, it's time to come and play with the big boys. Talk about that transition, what that looked like, you know, the difference and how it felt.
So I got the call at 11:30 at night. Okay. And they called me. First thing I did, hung up the phone, called my parents. No answer. Call the house. No answer. And I'm like,
what's going on?
Yeah, you guys are supposed to be awake right now. Like, this is the biggest
big news ever. You better be awake.
Wake up. And finally, I call my sister. She answers.
Nice.
And I was like, dang God. As soon as I told her, I lost it. Like, I started crying. And then
you had to get it out.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, you had to get it out.
Because I was on the phone with my manager when he called, and like I started to feel it coming. I was like, I can't right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as I told them, it was just like
couldn't hold it.
Just a relief, like, you know.
Because you finally made it.
Yeah.
You made it. You actually made
it.
But
it was crazy, man. Like, I got the call 11:30 at night. I had a flight the next day at 6 a.m. to Chicago.
Oh wow, that
car
quick.
Picked me up at 4 a.m. Yeah, I didn't sleep that night at all.
Oh my God.
At all.
But I mean, that's probably one of the nights you don't want to sleep.
I wasn't going to sleep. Like, everyone's trying to tell me, oh, go get some rest. I'm like, I got to be up in 2 hours. I'm not going to sleep. Because if I miss this flight and oversleep, it's
I regret it. You were the first one on the flight. You might have flew the plane yourself that day.
But I mean, just like the hospitality when you get up there, like everything is catered for you. They truly care about like your well-being, and they only want you to focus on the game. Like everything else, all those little things is taken care of. And that's why, like, I think those guys, when they're at the highest level, like they're truly able to focus on their craft day in, day out in the in season and in the off season.
So is that because, you know, I think when we were talking previously, I think it was last month, they take care of like your clothes and your uniform and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. They wash our clothes. They wash our uniforms.
Wow.
Yeah, they're real nice about it. They clean your cleats, you know.
Really?
You tip them, you pay them, you know, you give them some stuff. But like, so at the end of the day, like those little things that I had to do in like 2016, 2017.
I was taking care of.
Now, like, I'm not worrying about it.
It must be crazy too to like, you know, you probably weren't thinking about it when you were in the minors and you were worrying about, you know, is there dominoes open after the game or not, and how much it affects your game. You know, when you got to have these things in the back of your head, like where's your next meal coming from?
Exactly.
And then when that goes away, it's all baseball. You know, probably changes your game like 10x.
I played with guys that signed for $1,000 pre-tax.
Wow. What?
Wow. I played with that would eat cans of beans for dinner. Like, I'm talking about like that rough, like,
wow.
And I mean, it's stressful. It sucks to see because like not everyone gets a big signing bonus. Not everyone, you know, comes from a wealthy family and stuff like that. So like you see the way like these guys grind versus like, you know, a guy that signed for $1 million and they're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
So you can, but I think like that's stuff that you just can't teach people, you know?
It's crazy the amount of emotions that must have came when you got that call, because you know those guys who make $1,000 or, you know, even those guys who've been in the minors and for their whole life and then they just never make it to the majors. Yeah. So like that, you know, that had to have been in the back of your head. And then when you get that call, it's like, oh my God, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me, and I'm ready to go.
I mean, it was crazy. I was so excited. As soon as I got it, I was like calling everybody right away. And, I mean, I couldn't get to Chicago fast enough. If I was able to drive there that night, I would have left.
Oh my gosh.
By 4 a.m.
Like, I would have walked.
Yeah. And then like I walk into my hotel room. The hotel is directly across the street from Wrigley Field. And as soon as I open the door, they have like floor to ceiling windows and you just see all of Wrigley, like onto the field, everything. And
how was that walking out? It's your first pitch ever in the majors. That must have been such a crazy experience.
I mean, I came in a tough situation with runners on. Mm-hmm. So in my head, I couldn't really think about, this is my first time. This is my debut. I had to think about like
saving the game.
Yeah, this is the job that I got to do. This is what I'm here for. And, but I mean, like in Wrigley's bullpen, it's hidden in the wall.
Right.
So you can't hear anything outside. You're watching like a feed on TV of the game, and you're just hearing the announcers. So I can't hear the crowd. I can't hear anything. And as soon as like I ran out. They opened the doors. You just hear all the stomping, all the screaming, and that as soon as I ran out, that's when I felt it.
That's when you felt it.
I was like, damn, all right. But then, I start my jog out there, and then it clears off, and you focus back on the game. But
what an experience.
Yeah. And I mean, it was packed too. Wrigley always has crazy crowds, big fans. And
that's got to be something that never gets old, no matter how many games you play. Walking out like that, that's sick. That's amazing. That's what you work for.
Mm-hmm. Like seeing my family before the game, like seeing them in the stands, like walking and giving them a big hug. Like somebody tweeted, I'm sitting behind Nick Padilla's family right now during his debut, and it's making me emotional.
Wow.
That's kidding. Because, I mean, I don't think my sister stopped crying the whole time. So, but it was crazy.
Wow. I mean, I've gone to a lot of sporting events. We were actually just at the UFC event, and just the crowd, like just us, like being in the crowd, being rowdy, being crazy, yelling crazy things.
Yeah.
Like I could just imagine like what you guys go through. What goes through your mind, like when you're actually on the mound, getting ready, like select your pitch with the catcher? Like, does this pitch make sense? They're a righty, a lefty batter. Like, what is that like?
Honestly, man, not much goes into my mind when.
Really?
For me, since I'm a reliever, I come into the game late.
Right.
So there's already 5, 6, 7 innings of baseball that went by. So in my head, the catcher has a better understanding of what this guy's weaknesses is because he's already seen him 2, 3 times throughout the lineup. So for me, whatever the catcher puts down, unless I see something for me personally or like that I know I'd rather throw, but whatever the catcher puts down, I'm throwing. I have 100% trust in him.
I've never heard that like that perspective. So it makes so much sense because they really are. They've been out there all day. Like
they know what they're doing. Like they're there for a reason. Like especially when you're at the high level, like those catchers are so smart, man. Like they study the game, they study the hitters day in, day out. So it's like, who am I to overrule what they're saying, Right. And especially it was my first day too. I'm not shaking off no catcher in the big leagues.
I'm like, who's this guy?
Like, yo, who are you, bro?
You'll probably look in the dugout and be like,
get him out of here.
This guy back. Like, this guy's crazy.
No, so I was like, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Oh my gosh. That must be an amazing feeling. I could only imagine like the crowd and then like, because you're like, when you're pitching, you're looking at us in the stands, like as fans. Like it must be crazy throwing the ball and like looking at us, screaming at you like, "Oh, you suck, Nick!" Like,
you hear it all the time.
Oh my god!
I had a guy DM me the night of my debut, and he was like, "You are so awful, like truly, truly bad."
No way.
And I showed my like friend, and everybody. They were probably like, "He lost his bet or something."
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, when you're on the mound, you don't really see everybody. Like you hear the noise, but you don't hear anything like distinctive. You just hear noise. Yeah. Wow. Depends what crowd you're in. Like, I played in front of 100 people before, where it's 50 people, where every word they say, you're hearing. There was one game, some guy just would not stop calling me Nicole. Every single pitch. Every single pitch, he was just calling me Nicole, Nicole, Nicole.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait till you play the Yankees.
I know we'll be there. We'll be front row. I got a sign.
Oh my God.
Now, when you going back to like the bullpen and just your team in general, did you notice like a little bit of difference in camaraderie with the people on your team? Now that everyone's made it, going to the minors, everyone's got that dream of making it to the majors. I'm sure everyone was a little bit tighter there. Was it a little bit different?
I would say it's kind of the same environment going up. Like, yeah, we're all fighting for the same spot. We're all trying to make it. But like at the end of the day, like we see each other more as friends than as like, my enemy that I'm trying to win a competition against, But definitely I was up there. Everyone was like really welcoming, man. Like they have like their routines, their specific things that the bullpen do before the game, after the game. And like, there was I remember for stretch, we went out before the game and I'm doing my band routine and one of the guys comes up to me, he was like, "Hey, do that before you get out here. Don't do it now." And I was like, "Yes, sir." Like,
oh wow. Okay.
But like things like that, like, that's what those older guys are there for. And you can either take it as like them trying to like boss you around or you can take it as good criticism,
Or like we're trying to lead you the right way.
Out, yeah.
Have do you guys have like weird rituals? Like
So I just know with Wrigley, before the game, the bullpen coach throws out like 20 balls and we just throw them into the stands for people to catch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, I mean, for the most part, like, I think every pitcher has their specific routines and stuff that they follow, but nothing as like a whole group.
Now, I feel like every sports film that I've ever watched, like, somebody has this weird, like, they have to wear their favorite shirt. Yeah. So I know you're laughing, so I know you got something going on, like their favorite boxers or socks, man, or whatever.
You're making me nervous because I don't know if I say it, it's going to ruin it. Yeah, man, I mean, before, like, I never know when I'm going to pitch. Yeah. So it's kind of like every day I have to do the same routine. Yeah. But, like, during the game, I have the same stretches that I do in the same order.
The same order?
The same amount of times I do it. I get dressed a certain way before the game. Okay. You know, left sock goes on first, right sock, left shoe, right shoe, like things like that. Yeah, it's
a little weird, but okay.
But
whatever works.
Okay, so let's say, for example, it's game day and your routine's a little off, something's off. Like, do you feel that, or like you kind of don't notice it? You're just too focused.
The only time my routine has been thrown off is when, like, our starting pitcher gets in trouble and I have to go in like the second inning.
Because you're not expecting it.
Yeah. And that, I mean, it throws me off my routine, but then it also causes me not to think about it because I have to get ready in 5 minutes. I got 6 pitches before I'm in the game, you know?
You don't have a chance to kind of...
Exactly. So there's no, it's either do or don't.
So, okay, so I like that you mentioned that, right? So you're saying a pitcher gets in trouble, right? And then I'm assuming that's when they get hits on people get on base. But you were also talking about like how the catcher is really the one you're listening to. Mm-hmm. So is it the pitcher or is it the catcher?
I think it goes hand in hand.
Okay.
You know, like it could be the right pitch that the catcher called, but the pitcher threw it in the wrong location.
The execution was,
you know, so there's a lot of things that go into it that, you know, from my eye, I can't see.
Right.
But like the catchers that I had in AAA, they, you know, ex-big leaguers. So it's like, really? They played in the bigs before. So it's like, they know what they're doing, you know, I just gotta trust it. But like, at the end of the day, it's my career and I'm the one with the ball in my hand. So it's like, if I think I should throw this pitch, I'm gonna throw that pitch. Like,
and what would make you like switch what he's saying or kind of go against it?
So one thing I learned for like the pitchability sense and not just like throwing the baseball is like a hitter will tell you what to throw him. If like, so like, let's say I throw a fastball and he's like super late on it, then I know I could throw another fastball because he's not going to catch up. So like things like that, like it's a game within a game, baseball. Like there's like little cues that like a pitcher will do or a hitter will do that will tell you like, all right, maybe I could win this battle by doing this.
It's like a tale.
That. Yeah.
Right? Do you feel a little different when, let's say, you got like a third stringer or whatever versus, oh man, that's Aaron Judge. Like, does that throw you off? Like, oh man, this guy might just bomb on me right now.
So the one time I felt like that was when I faced Nolan Arenado.
Okay.
I faced him in my debut, and he came up, and as soon as he got in the box, I was like, damn, that's Nolan Arenado. Like,
let me be careful.
Like, it's him. Like, that's him in the flesh. But then, like, you know, for me, it's like once I throw the first pitch,
you're good.
Then I'm good. Like,
okay, you got to get out your
system. Same thing. Like even before I go in the game, I'm nervous. Like I feel it in my stomach. But as soon as I go out there and I throw the first pitch,
you're good.
I'm good. Yeah.
So what is it now that you're in the league? What does your day-to-day look like to maintain, you know, your body? And my good friend's a pitcher. He does all these wild things. Like, what do you do every day to just stay prepared?
Yeah. So currently, I'm working out at this place ATP in Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut. And I mean, they're great. They really like design the workout for you and like what your weaknesses are, nice. And then strengthen what your strengths are or like your strengths are.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think like the only thing that athletes have to worry about is nutrition and working out. So so like if you're not taking both those serious every time, then like you're wasting all the potential.
Yeah. You know? Do you think now that you aren't eating Domino's 10 days out of the week?
Is it?
Yeah. Do you think that have you noticed, it helped you a little bit more now that you're eating normal foods and, living a normal life? Like, has that helped you a little bit?
Definitely, especially like during the season, like having those pre and post game meals are so crucial. Cause like, if we're eating a little sandwich before a 4-hour game, we got to exert all our energy. Like, we're not going to be maximizing our, true potential.
Right, exactly.
And then after is just as important because you got to recoup, you got to, regenerate everything. And it's like, it truly helps you as an athlete and as a player to like have those things available for you.
Right. I wanted to ask this a little bit earlier, but do you think there was anything, especially now we have this, social media and all this, outside of your own playing to get recruited and to even just make it to the league? Was there anything special like social media or like a good agent or a good coach that maybe got you into the door that you wouldn't have been able to yourself?
For me, it was a good coach. There wasn't much in social media when I got drafted. Now there's a bunch of different apps that players are able to send their videos to and all this stuff. But for me, it was just having a good coach and them having the context to get me in touch with the right people.
Yeah, so that definitely I feel like it's always important to have at least one or two people that, I know this guy and he'll set you up, he'll get you into this door or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So is it really, like when you talk about your agent or, the people, your business partners, right, that kind of manage you and get you deals and get you behind the scenes where you need to go, how important is it to get the right agent? Like, what was that process for you to find one?
So I had an agent when I got drafted out of college, and unfortunately things didn't work out. Him and I had some differences and ended up leaving probably like 2 months after I got drafted. So it was very fast. And I switched to another agency, and it's the same. I switched to an agent. He was with the agency and now he's with a different agency, but the agent, he was like a friend from day one. Like when I met him, we were hanging out, everything was cool, everything was great.
Bonded.
Yeah, and it was like, it is a profession and it's his job, but then you also want to have someone like you're saying that like you can have a friendship with, and it's not like a strict like
just business.
Yeah,
And it should be too, because it's kind of scary if you're like somebody's handling you or taking care of you, and they're like they don't have your best interest at heart. So it's very important to definitely be able to bond at least at some level. Like you guys get along and everything works.
And God willing, like this is going to be someone that I have to deal with for the next 15 or whatever it is. So it's like you got to make sure they're good people.
Always got to have the right team around you. It's very important, especially for you guys, because you guys got a lot of stuff going on. And I can only imagine, right? So you got drafted, you made it to the big leagues. Now you're playing for the actual team. How many people came up to you like, oh, I got this idea. Like, let's buy this car wash or let's buy this building, or like, how many people did that to you?
Not too many, man. Not too many. I have had a couple DMs of, people ask me for some money, they're in a tough spot, things like that. And again, I don't mind helping out, but if it's someone that I haven't spoke to in years, then it's just disrespectful.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm talking about money in a little bit about what we do and we know about. Obviously that, sports, nobody can play for 30, 40 years. And you see all these stories of people who make it to the big leagues and then, 10 years later, they're homeless. What is your goal, or do you have anything in mind to set yourself up so that, you don't really need to worry about money outside of the league?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me now to set myself up for the future would be real estate. Definitely. And that's everyone that I've talked to, from guys that played 10 years in the bigs, guys that played 1 year. Right. Their biggest thing is always real estate. Yep. I think that's something that can help me when baseball's done.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we got you covered. You're at the right place.
It's funny because I think the statistic is 90% of millionaires or billionaires as well have made their wealth through real estate. We're not making any more land. It's there. Yeah. You just have to capitalize and have the right connections and know what you're doing. So I'm happy that we're part of your journey when it comes to that. So one of the things that we spoke about previously is training camp, and kind of some of you guys don't know if you're going to be on the roster for the next year, if you're going to be picked up, if you're going to get a new contract. Talk to us about like the mindset that you guys go through when you go to training camp. It's like you don't know, like at the end of training camp, oh my God, am I still gonna keep being on the team? Like what's gonna happen? What's your mindset?
I think that's when everyone feels the most pressure.
Yeah,
because like if you're going to high, AA, AAA, wherever, you don't know till 2 days before.
Yeah.
So it's like to the very last day, you're fighting for a spot.
Right.
So I feel like everything you do, like if you're not in the gym and they see you're not in the gym, if you're walking to the fields and not jogging, like things like that, like the little things that they see, I feel like that's what helps them with their decision. Right. So I feel like everyone is trying to be picture perfect in spring training, and all that stuff to make sure that they're
everyone's uptight. Okay, so I don't want to put you on the spot, right? But I feel like I have to ask this, right?
All right.
Who just won the World Series?
Who just won the World Series?
I don't know.
Yes, the wrong person.
Houston.
Yeah, I was like,
Houston,
God. I was just going to say, Mattress Mac won.
Your dad might be onto something. Like,
Now, was you putting me on the spot right there? Or we got another question?
no. We got something coming for that. As a collective, right? Other players, other teams, other organizations, when you hear that somebody was doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing, how did you guys feel about that situation?
For me personally, it never affected me.
Right.
So I never saw it as like, I never took it personal.
Right.
But I mean, for the game itself, it's stealing signs, all that stuff. It's part of the game. I think it's not the cameras, not the computers, all that stuff. I think if there's a man on second, the dugout, like there's coaches, there's players that's their job. Like if they're in the dugout, like that's what they're supposed to do is look for any cue that the pitcher's giving up or any hint, any tell. But when you take it as far as like actually searching and trying to find all these things, then I think that's where you cross the line. Yeah,
so it's funny that you say it's part of the game because when it comes to baseball and like all you guys, like I feel like I've always heard the same thing. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it's always been like that. I mean, like in basketball, you got players that try hiding in the timeout. Baseball is like guys on second or, if the pitcher's like fastball here, curveball up here, like that's part of it.
It's part of the game.
Once you're like setting up camera crews to find their stuff.
Like
and
the
all
Patriots?
These things. It's like...
Yeah.
It's
funny.
A little too far.
It's funny too how like everything relates. Anything, sports, business. It's like people do legal things in business. And
do you not have trust in your team, like in your players?
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you just got to focus on what you can control. That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely think it messed with people's careers, pitchers especially. So? There was a guy, I forgot what team he was on, but he actually sued the Astros.
He did.
Because after his game, he got sent down. He never got called back up. And that was the game where they had the most bangs on the garbage can.
Oh, is that the one with the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I think things like that, like they're looking at it as like that game, they want to win that game, but they're not looking at the bigger picture for everyone that's being affected by it.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I didn't think about that, right? Like, so you're hitting a bunch of home runs, now the guy gets sent down, and he's screwed. Yeah. Like, gosh.
Yeah, it's a big process, man. It's a lot of things that go into it.
I feel bad for that guy. Because it's like a valid point, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen to this guy.
Yeah.
Can he feed his family? Is he ever going to play again?
Because that year, that was the last time he got called up for the year. So it was like, who knows if they're never doing that, he pitches well that game and he's up there the whole year making, X amount of money versus a couple grand a month.
Yeah, he'd probably still be playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
If baseball was never invented, what do you think he'd be doing?
That's a question I never want to answer. I honestly could not tell you. I don't know. Like I said, my parents always told me to have a plan B and all that.
Right.
And I was always like, forget that. There's no plan B. This is the plan. This is it.
This is the plan.
This is what I'm focusing on. But for something else, I never really put...
Figure it out. It's different, maybe a different sport.
Nah, I can't do that.
He's like, no, I'm
definitely doing football. These are crazy. But
that's crazy. That's good though. I feel like there's something, a plan B, only have a plan B because you think your plan A is going to fail anyways. I feel like that, it's crucial. Whatever you want to do, especially things that are against the normal, just go to college, get a job, whatever. I feel like it's just crucial. Just do your plan A, and then if it doesn't work, then all right, I'll just be homeless.
Yeah. To be honest, like,
well, geez, like,
that's a little drastic.
That's a little rough, dude.
Well, that's my plan.
Oh, okay. Like, well,
I think you'll be all right.
I hope he's gonna be all right. Jesus.
But no, I mean, like, you just stick to your plan. You stick to what you're working on. Like, for me personally too, like, there's no time for me to focus on something else. If I'm focused on something else, then it's not 100% into this.
Exactly. You gotta stay focused.
Yeah, and if it's not 100% into that, then there's no way you're gonna make it.
Exactly.
You know?
Now, segueing from that, what does Nick's life look like after baseball?
After? Oh, hopefully I got a bunch of properties with you guys.
What you will.
I don't know, man. I definitely want to be involved still in baseball, whether it's with like the Players Association or, you know, they do a lot of drives for schools and like other countries that aren't like, don't have like the same things that we have, you know, not as accessible to baseball as bats. I think that would be my next big thing that I want to do.
That's awesome, man.
Is there anything in baseball that you're just like, I hate doing this? Like, there's something that frustrates you. You're like, oh, I hate this little thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that comes with any job you do. You know, for me, we do the same thing, we do the same stretches, the same amount of throws. It's all repetitive. And I think that's what gets to me the most. But then, like, I see myself and I hear myself complaining, and I'm like, really, like, think about it. Like, what are you complaining about? Like,
this is what you work for.
Yeah, like, this is like, people would kill to be in the position that you're in. And it's like, I'm gonna complain because I'm doing the same thing every day. Like, it's gonna be like that regardless. Yeah, I do hate shagging though. Shagging BP during batting practice, that's the worst.
Shagging?
Yeah, when during batting practice, we got to catch, the pitchers have to stand in the outfield and catch all the fly balls.
That's what they call shagging?
Shagging, and that's the worst because we're there at like 2, 3 o'clock in the scorching heat, dying,
my God,
catching ball. Like,
why is it called shagging?
I couldn't tell you.
It's like such a weird name. Oh my gosh, but it's so funny you say that because like there's things that like we can complain about too. So like even in real estate, it's like it gets repetitive, right? So like you buy a building, you collect rent. You buy a house, you fix it, you sell it. Like it gets repetitive, and like I've gone through it too, where I'm like, I'm kind of over this, right? And then like a month goes by, like, all right, I'm bored again. Like, and then you kind of get like back into the groove of it. And I think for stocks, even for Jack, it's the same thing. Like he gets tired of trading options, and then he's like, all right, I want to do something else. But then you kind of go back to your first love. You know what I mean, like I always there's certain days where you just dread the day, like, you know, where you're just like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and it's part of it. It's human nature. But then like it gets close to the end of the season, and I'm like, I don't want the season to end. Like I don't want to have to go back home, like normal life, all the things. I want to just continue playing baseball. Like, so I think like once you look at it in the bigger picture and you realize like you have to look at the bigger picture. So, you know, obviously we come from a Spanish background, and family is like one of the biggest things, obviously. And you know, you grew up in a family where you were very supportive.
Yep.
Talk to me about like your mom and your dad when they, you know, because obviously you're getting older. At some point, you're gonna want to get married. You want to have start a family. What are those conversations with you know, with mom? Because like, you know, especially like in our day now, like, you know, sometimes like girls will look at you like a dollar sign, not even like this is a normal human. Like, so talk to us about a little bit about that and how you kind of like navigate that.
So I've been with my girl for 3 years now. So I have a girlfriend for 3 years, and I mean, she's great. That's going smooth, but like, there's still like women like at the games that would like send DMs, do things like that. But I think it's just on you. Like, if you know you want to entertain it, and you're gonna entertain it. If you don't, then that's it. You know?
And I think
it happens to
everybody.
Yeah, and especially once you get to that level, it's like you're saying, like dollar signs. That's all they see is like.
Yeah, no, and I think sometimes you gotta protect your happiness, and like you guys look very happy together. Like even when you were in Greece, I'm like, damn, you're just having a ball. It's like, you know, and your girl looks happy, you look happy, and sometimes you just gotta protect that and definitely just keep running with it. So, like you said, it's on you to just kind of like say no.
And I mean, like, you know, it's not every day that you find someone that like she comes to visit me every month for at least a week. You know, so it's like we're never going that much time apart, and it makes it easy because it's better for me too, because I'm able to take my mind off of baseball when I leave. You know, like there's something to like disconnect to instead of just like going home and like sitting in my thoughts thinking about the bad game that I had or like the bad at bat, whatever it is, you know?
Right. So she's kind of like your safe haven.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what you're legally allowed to say.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
No, it's not
I have
bad.
to edit this out.
But outside, well, I guess it's part of baseball. Is there any like sponsorship that you were like, I want a Nike deal or like an Adidas deal that you were like growing up as a kid? Like, yeah, I want like free Nike gear all the time because I'm sponsored. Is there any of those like really cool ones?
I think Nike for me is probably everyone.
Yeah. Everybody wants Nike. Like, you know.
But right now I'm with Tater.
Okay.
They're
Cool.
they're a bat and glove company. And they're great. I get 2 gloves a year with them. The leather's great. The gloves are great. So
That's good. That's really
they're great people too. So it's the same thing. Like, you know, like you could go with Rollins, you could go with Wilson, but you're just gonna be another dude to them. Like with these guys, like it's a personal connection. Like we're texting, we're hanging out, like things like that. You know,
That's awesome.
And then you talked about a little bit like about with your girlfriend and how, you know, she is, you know, what gets your mind off the game. Is there anything else that you do that you can unplug from the craziness of baseball?
Video games, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, video
Me
games.
too.
Like
Playing all day.
We were just talking about this the other day too.
I still play Fortnite.
I feel like I hate saying it because I feel like a kid and stuff. But like video games, man. Like they would just go and not think and just like be on the game, like playing, like.
Yeah. I think it's accepted now, like for guys, like no matter how old you are, like it's fine. Like we play games, girl.
Exactly.
Like, just get over it. Like leave us alone.
My girl got me a PS5. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta use that.
Of course. No, and then the worst part is if you don't use it, like, oh, you don't like my gift? Like,
right.
Catch 22. Catch 22.
Yeah.
What do you play?
Right now, Madden and 2K.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You don't play MLB because you got to get your mind off.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't
that's too
play in
much,
the
man.
game.
It's too much.
Oh, are you in the game?
I am.
So you got to play.
Do you play as yourself?
No. But I have had people send me like, oh, just hit a homer off of you. Just hit
Oh
this.
my God.
I think Melvin actually
He would definitely do that.
sent me something. He was like, I got a double off you.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you know now what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, then we gotta
I got to do it.
I'm gonna get another picture.
Oh,
Homer.
Oh, no, I'm gonna record it, so I'm not gonna send it to you until I hit a home run. I'm like, bro, you suck.
Oh my God.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I think video games, and I think like at the same time, like when you're around like certain guys that are going through the same thing as you every day, like once you're around them too, outside of baseball, like we're not talking about baseball, we're not talking about
you kind of want to
any
get
of
away.
that stuff. Yeah, it's a big disconnect.
So when it comes to like the guys you came up with, because I know you train with Andrew too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, how do you guys like when you finally made it? Like, how do you guys like, communicate now? Like, oh, dude, I got a game against you. You freaking suck. Like, is it that type of thing, or is like?
Nah, so I haven't had the pleasure of playing against him yet, but I mean, like throughout the season, we just do like check-ins, like, how you doing? How you feeling? Is everything? When I got my debut, you know, gave me a call, all that. So kind of the same thing. And in the off season, that's when, you know, we hang out, and we see each other more.
Okay, this is just me, right? Because I feel like if I was you, and I got to play Andrew, I would probably send him a text the night before, like, dude, I'm just gonna beam you, bro. Like, just
He's gonna steal second on me. Look how fast he is, and still third, and then
he's
I'm gonna
fast.
run.
Yeah, he's super fast. He's super fast. But I would like, I'm gonna throw you off again. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna crack you, bro.
I might throw one up and in just to scare him a little bit.
Just to graze him a little bit.
Just to let him know this ain't friendly right now.
Like, I could just imagine that's like, you know, on you guys' level, because it's like we're grown kids at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's awesome that you were able to, you know, not only achieve your dream, but like you're playing a game that we all love, like as kids and growing up. So you get to have fun every day. That's awesome.
Yeah. How special was that? You know, coming up with him. Like that's really make it to the league is one thing, and then have your best friend next to you is even cooler.
So I think it was a big part too, because when I got drafted to the Rays, he was just recently traded to the Rays.
Oh, that's awesome.
So when I got in, I had again another mentor, another person to like, hey, this is my boy from the Bronx, Nick Padilla. Like, here, this is who and this. So it got me in connect with a lot of other players that like I generally would not talk to because I'm a new guy coming in. But
it's smooth.
Yeah, so it was real nice. It was good. He helped out a lot. He gave me a lot of like advice, a lot of things I want to do. Both like just like how to hold yourself, and then also like pitching wise, like he's a hitter. He knows what he's looking for.
Yeah.
He knows what pitchers do. Like,
yeah, it's always good when you could go like through the same growing pains with somebody.
Yeah.
It's already going through it, so that must have been amazing. All right, man. So listen, like we talked about how you made it to the MLB. You know, we talked about your life a little bit and what you got going on. You know, your future. Obviously, we're gonna be helping you build your real estate portfolio. Jack has been helping you, you know, kind of get into the stock market and understand what goes on with that. So I know Level Up has been a really instrumental enterprise in your life. Where do you see yourself in the future as far as, you know, the real estate game or the stock market, or at least what are you trying to achieve? And, you know, talk a little bit to anybody who's looking to become an MLB player or get into real estate or the stock market, what they should be looking for or what they should be doing.
you guys. They should be looking for you guys.
Okay, that's easy enough. We'll take that answer. We'll take that answer.
No, I mean, like, for sure in the next couple of years, I see myself like earning that stuff, getting that stuff is going to give me like passive income. You know, it also takes like stress off my life, stress off my family's life, things like that. And like, for me, I think the biggest thing is like, and you've seen it, like I want to incorporate my whole family, like all my friends, everybody. Like, and I think once like I can get a big community like that, like with my family and friends, that we can build something huge, like especially with Level Up and you guys, like it'd be a whole like enterprise. Like,
and when you talk about like stress and just focusing on the game, when you have, you know, a couple properties and just, you know, that money's coming in regardless if I'm playing or not, it helps you with your game too, because you're like, all right, I don't got to worry about money if I make it or not.
Exactly.
You know, so that'll definitely be a big help too, I think.
And especially too in the off season, we don't get paid. So it's like
you need something to pay
extra
you.
stuff in the pocket, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's why we gravitate towards you, because you're big on family. And like even for us, like we have a good team together, you know, for everyone from Jack to Chris to Martin to AB, like we all like get along, we're all easygoing, and we all really care about our families, and we want to make sure we educate our family and get them to where they need to be. So
I think it's
we'll
big,
get you
man.
there, man.
I appreciate it. I think you attract who you are.
Exactly.
And like, you know, I came into contact with you, and like, same thing. Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly, man. No, listen, Nick, man, we appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you, man. We appreciate everything about you. You know, congratulations on your journey. We look to see your success and continued growth. I will tell you this, I'm going to be super unprofessional when I see you playing the Yankees, but you got to deal with it, Nicole. So you got to deal with it, bro. But again, man, thank you for coming on the podcast, bro. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll take care of you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.